Today I am showing you 3 stretches for low back and hip pain. I had a client ask me this week in my massage sessions, and so I wanted to share with you a couple of things that everybody can do that will help with low back pain, and pretty much everybody deals with it at some point or another because of the lifestyle that we all lead now. So I want to share this because if we have low back pain, it can really mess things up, and it causes any pain anywhere causes discomfort, right, in your mind because you can't function and you can't think more than much about the pain. And so I want to give you some stretches that will help alleviate that pain and other suggestions so that you have freedom from pain and be able to move forward doing the things that you want to do in life. So let's get started. Low back pain energetically can have a few meanings as well. So I want to cover those, then we will do the stretches. And I really have seen this a lot over the last almost 17 years of my massage therapy business. And so it is something that people deal with these days, and it can be a lot of it prevented if you will just stretch more and drink more water. So if you're dealing with low back pain, it can be a sign that you have a physical injury. Like, that is a no-brainer. Duh, you hurt your back, you lifted something you shouldn't have, you tweaked it, then you've got low back pain, right? Like, obviously that's injury stuff. But sometimes it is all of a sudden my back is hurting and I don't know why. Our low back deals with feeling unsupported, and also it can be about feeling stuck in your life. And it also sometimes deals with money issues. If you're struggling with how you're going to pay for things, money issues can be stored in your low back as well. So those are some things that you can look at and say, hey, are these things going on in my life? What can I look at to ease that burden and ease that pain? And maybe it's just, letting go and saying, okay, I don't really see a way. Can I have help finding that direction that I'm looking for as you tap in with your higher power? So, obviously, those are important things, as well as if you have physical injury, yes, you need to tend to that. And I personally love essential oils. I would use something like a peppermint, a spearmint. I have a blend that has spearmint, peppermint, clove, and helichrysum in it that I absolutely love. So you could do something like that, because each of those oils, some of them are for inflammation, some of them are for healing tears and things like that. And others of them are for helping to numb the pain while your body recovers. Obviously, we don't want to numb forever, right? We want to get those things fixed. We want to give them a rest, but sometimes your brain needs the rest from the pain that it's in. Because when we're in pain, it automatically activates our nervous system, and our mind can't think much more past the pain. So even a simple thing as taking 3 deep breaths and just letting your body relax a little bit can also help with the pain. The other thing I want to talk to you about are your hips. So we have a lot of us do a lot of work sitting down at computers and desks, and so we aren't as active as we once maybe were, in our 20s when we were buzzing around doing things. And so we can get really tight hip flexors, and those are the muscles in the front of your legs, right? And so those get tight, and they actually take your pelvis and they will twist your pelvis. And so if you have a pelvis that is anchored and now twisted, right, and it's stuck there, that's also going to cause pain because it's pulling down, or it's pulling down in the front, right? And most of the time, if it's hip flexors, it's going to be pulling down in the front. If it's the QL or quadratus lumborum, there we go. If you have those that are tight, it will pull it to the back. Those go from your 12th rib down to your iliac crest, or the top of your pelvis. And the hip flexors are in the front, and so they will pull it down towards the front. And so then you've got a tilted pelvis, right? And that causes the other muscles to be really sore. So the ones in the back, if it's tilted forward, are going to be shorter than they need to be. And the ones in the front are now stretched way tighter than longer than they are used to being. And so it's vice versa. If you go the other way, or if you've got one that's going one way and one that's going the other way, you've got all this tension in your spine and in your hips. That's where the pain comes from. That's why it's important to stretch, because then you can get those to be balanced and be equal. And then the muscles can relax a little bit, and then when they need to stretch one way or another, they can, but they're not stuck short or stuck long. They now can be in the middle and they can go either direction like they need to. So those are really key pieces to low back pain and to hip pain. And oftentimes low back pain comes from your butt muscles, your glute muscles, and people don't recognize that. But when you're sitting a lot, and especially if you rotate your feet out like this, it's engaging the muscles, because the muscles of your butt actually are what move your feet in and out. So if you're constantly with your feet out like this, those muscles on the sides of your hips are getting used in a way that they're not used to, because they're used to being straight, or they should be straight. So looking at those things in your body will help a lot. So let's dive in and let me show you the 3 stretches that I've come up with today. I'm going to be talking about hip flexors. Hip flexors are right here. They run from here and down your leg. I'm trying to get this so you can see it. So they run from here down, and they're the ones that get short when we sit a lot. One of the stretches that you can do is to stretch this hip flexor muscle. And that is basically by doing a lunge. Now, when we do a lunge, we normally are thinking of the front leg. We're actually going to focus on the back leg as we do this lunge. So you're going to lunge forward, and instead of worrying about what the front leg is doing, you're actually going to be focused on this part. So you can kind of push your butt forward a little bit, and that will open that up. And then you can even bend your knee on this side more, and that will really give this nice stretch right here. And then you just want to hold that for at least 30 seconds. If you could do longer, more like a minute, that would be great. And then that will help open up this muscle. And you can even go deeper if you need to. Now, this other way you can do this stretch is to have something you can hold on to. You can get a hold of your ankle and you can, do this. Sometimes when it's really tight, our leg will be out like that. And if we bring our knees together, then we can really feel that stretch. So you might feel the stretch down here a little bit. That's okay too. That will help to lengthen out that part of your leg, which when it gets shortened and tightened, it also affects that hip. So go ahead and you can hold that again, holding it for 30 seconds to a minute, letting it stretch and making sure that you're holding on if you feel unstable. We don't want you falling over. And that will help to stretch out that front part, okay? So the next stretch we're going to talk about is the QL muscle, which is right here in the back of your body. It goes from the 12th rib down to the top of your pelvis, and it's a pretty deep muscle, and it's just a little rectangle right here. So that gets really tight when we're sitting a lot. So, and also if your pelvis is tipped forward, it's going to pull on it, right? Or if it's tipped back, it's going to make it short. So we want it to be in the middle. So when we do this particular stretch, we're actually going to fold in half. So as you fold in half, but you're not touching your toes, you actually want to focus on this muscle. So if you bend your knees and you fold yourself in half more, you're folding here. That's where you're wanting to work on folding, not touching your toes. That's why you take the knees out and then you fold and you just see if you can bend. You'll probably feel it if you're super tight everywhere in your legs, but you will actually feel it right here in that low back, and it's a great way to stretch that QL muscle. So stretching the QL muscle will give some relief into that low back. The other muscle that sometimes gets forgotten about, and it's under our intestines and our abdomen, right? It's the psoas muscle. It's the great big muscle that connects us in the front. And it goes from about here down, and then it goes into your quads a little bit. So if you can just stretch back just a little bit, there are, massage things and things like that. If you really have a really tight psoas, you can go get your massage therapist to do psoas work. It's incredible, but it's also really intense. So stretch it out first and see if that can help. But if you just lean back and let this part of your body stretch, again, you'll feel it in your hip flexors a little bit, but get it so you can arch your back a little bit, and that lets that psoas muscle stretch. And again, holding it for 30 seconds to a minute to give that nice long stretch. Anything that we do nowadays is out in front of us, and we sit kind of slouched while we're doing our phone. So that pulls the head forward, pulls the shoulders rounded, and then it kind of scrunches all of this in the middle. So stretching out and letting everything move back will allow some pressure off of your spine, and that will just overall help with back pain. So I hope this has been helpful today. I hope that if this has been helpful for you, you will share it with others. If you would like more tips and tricks about energy, your body, and your spirit, please like and subscribe.